What's going on, everybody? This is Raw Dog Sports. I am Mike. That is Evo. If I have to hear Yamo be there one more time, I'm going to Yamo burn this place to the ground. And we're going to burn this bitch down today because we are recapping 16 games. Oh, I guess we're not. We already recapped 3. So we're recapping 13 games where we had a full week of football. Yeah, I can't count, man. But I'm pumped. We got a lot of shit to go over. Evo, my man, how you doing? Welcome in. I have been so fucking busy. I have multiple videos I have to edit here still before the end of the semester, which is quick approaching. So I'm busy, but how you doing, brother? You look good.
Yeah, look, tired, also busy. Lots of space weather at work, solar flares and shit, electrons in the ionosphere for those of you who know. So that's tons of fun. PP's getting slapped left and right at work and having to be involved with that, and lack of government employees available, and too many trainees. It's the same rigmarole. It's government work. It's good, and at least I'm getting paid, so I'm happy for that. Happy to have a job. Happy to be here talking some sports and some football. Despite having a so-so week as far as the betting goes, not a great week as far as my team in that situation goes. Still, I think some positives for you when it comes to your Browns. But interesting week of football, continuing to drive on towards the playoffs, where things in the NFC sometimes feel like they're shaping out, and sometimes in the AFC, you don't know who the fuck is good and who the fuck is bad on a week-to-week basis. It is a year of parity. It feels like a big flip-flop on top of your head type of year in the NFL. And we're along for the ride. We're here to break it down and get into it with everyone who wants to watch with us today.
Yeah, it's been chaotic. So there's some teams that we've been kind of alluding to it, that are very much in danger of missing the playoffs. Teams that I think that at this point you might be right on. I think the Chiefs are probably going to miss the playoffs. But there were big time matchups this weekend, and your team, tough outing. My team also kind of a tough outing. We'll talk about that more. I love Shadur, but this was not the greatest performance. That's okay. He played a really good 49ers team, though. So there's a lot to get into as it pertains to our teams, but around the league, man, there was a ton of shakeups, like results that I don't think anybody fucking expected. The Rams going down to the Panthers was insane. I didn't see that even remotely being a possibility going into the week. But the NFL's crazy that way. I dropped 10.5 fucking points. It was just not the greatest week in terms of my picks. Very middling, 8-8 for me. I'm not sure what you ended up going. 9-7. So right. Yeah. So kind of a very meh week.
We both stuck within the major percentage where we were at, but I believe you dropped 0.3 percentage points. I dropped 0.2 maybe percentage points, something like that. So technically we went down a little bit, but we are still hanging high right around the 55 or higher mark, which is good. We still have another 5 weeks left this year to get the ship right and get to our ultimate goal, which, I'm shooting for that 60. I would love to get at or above the 60%. And I think that's still doable with some good weeks here to finish out the year.
I think that's absolutely doable for you, man. You're right there. At this point, I need to look at probably a realistic goal, 56, 57%. I think I can get there. Now, obviously, I would love to be able to hit that. Yeah, thank you. I would love to be able to hit that 60% mark, but I would have to have just a couple of fucking banger, absolute banger weeks. So I don't know that I'll be flirting with that number, but you up there, very impressive, my man. You've been riding a wave right now. You haven't been under 500 in quite some time, I believe.
Shoot.
No,
scroll back here.
It's actually been quite a few weeks, I think, since we have had a sub 500 week for anybody.
Yeah, week 8, I went 5-8. Since then, we've been in the positive, which is good. And it makes sense given the fact that we are sitting above 50% here. I also had a real bad week 5 where I went 5-9. Your first couple weeks with 3-4. 3-4 were the killers for you, I think.
Yeah. I had a couple of rough spots there.
Yeah. But hey, that is sports gambling. That is the parity. That is the NFL. And it's one of the things that we've actually been asking for is continual parity within the NFL. Usually you have a bad franchise. They're only bad for a couple years unless they are the perennially bad ones, which unfortunately the Browns tend to kind of fall in line with a lot of times. But you also have your Jets, Panthers, teams like that always seem to struggle. And I think that comes down a lot to ownership with those teams when it's all said and done. But we're not here to get into the ownerships completely today. I don't think we have anything too big to hit on with owners. But we do have to make sure that we pay the electric bills here. We have to do our sponsorship ad read as we do every week. So our normal segment, sponsorship or cease and desist, we will go ahead and get right into that. And this week's episode of Raw Dog Sports is brought to you none other than by the creative genius for molding the Minnesota Vikings franchise, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. I haven't gotten to do one of these in a little bit. Now, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah hit us up, and he wanted this ad read to be a PR piece to promote himself. And if you find it odd that I'm saying that, it's because the silent part is being said out loud. But Kwesi specifically asked that we let everyone know this because I think he's inept in more than just doing his job as a GM. He asked us for us to shout out all the amazing work that he's done with the Vikings as far as free agent roster building and extending contracts over the past 4 years. He didn't give too many specifics, and maybe that's because he was actually confused by the notion of having a good offseason. So figured we'd give it the old college try on our own here. In 2024, he actually had a pretty solid offseason. He added veterans like Andrew Van Ginkel, Jonathan Grenard, Blake Cashman, and they've all performed excellently. They've actually performed or outperformed their contracts that they've earned. But when you look beyond this, and by all means, Kwesi, we applaud you for this. But when you look beyond this year, the sandwich, the piece of the bread's on the outside, it's pretty fucking dog shit. This year, we don't have to look much further back than just this year. We go out and sign Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, two former really good veteran defensive tackles, and they both seem like upgrades from the previous years, but they've just turned out to be expensive placeholders who are performing like below average starters. Jonathan Allen, 3 years, $60 million deal. Javon Hargrave, 2 year, $30 million deal. That's terrible. That's a shitload of money going to guys, especially Javon Hargrave, who is being beaten out by a former CFL player right now, who's doing really good in Jalen Redmond. Ryan Kelly was brought in to lock down our center position to take over for Garrett Bradbury, who has been a sieve constantly. Well, Ryan Kelly did come with a concussion history, and we decided to look past that. And wouldn't you know it, Ryan Kelly's missed most of the year due to concussions and probably should be quitting playing football. And then when he's not been playing, he's being outperformed by a guy who has never played the center position before in his career. Not to mention the fellas that replaced our center position, Garrett Bradbury, and the guy who's replacing our right guard, Ingram, performing really well this year. Top half of the league starters. Maybe that's something to do with the fact that we're not developing those offensive linemen and we should look at our O-line coach. But also maybe it's the GM's job to make sure that he manages the team correctly, and that includes the coaches. Kwesi also let a couple of veterans leave this year without offering them very attractive contracts. Cam Bynum looks to be a rock star in Indy. He was doing great here in Minnesota. Tons of turnovers in Indianapolis, but we let him walk. Don't need to dive too deep into the performances of some guys you might have heard of, like Sam Darnold or Vanilla Vic, Indiana Jones. They were on this roster, and we decided to kind of just let them leave. I was for giving J.J. McCarthy his shot, but it doesn't mean that we had to lowball some guys where we knew that they could at least be competition and probably would have beat J.J. out at this point. Of course, Kwesi wanted us to go over his excellent performance in the draft, and this is the big part that he thinks that he has done some pretty cool things in. He kicked things off a little bit rocky in his first year by looking Kyle Hamilton in the face and saying, nah, we're going to trade back with a division rival and we're going to take Lewis Seen, who was cut from the team quick. I don't even know if he's on an NFL roster right now.
I don't think he is.
But we did get Will Reichard, a kicker, and he's pretty fucking good. But he's a kicker. We got Dallas Turner. We traded up a little bit last year in the draft to get him, and he's starting to show some starter level play. We got Jalen Naylor, Jordan Addison, both starting wide receivers. JJ McCarthy, he's a quarterback, and we don't know if he's going to be good yet. I'd like to think that he could be, but we don't know at this point. At least we got Donovan Jackson this year. I mean, he's a good, competent starter. In 4 years, we've had 28 picks, and we've drafted roughly 6 relevant players who are still on the Vikings, and that isn't including JJ McCarthy yet. And we have a handful of backups or rotational players. We are hitting at a 21% hit rate in the draft, and that's unacceptable to most people. But you have to remember, Kwesi is a Wall Street guy. He's good with stocks and numbers, and we're probably too dumb to understand that 21%, that's a really good rate of return, right? One spot where Kwesi can take some credit for doing good things is, of course, our UDFAs. We found a lot of them, and a lot of them are playing on this team. The problem with that is, if you didn't know, most UDFAs are brought into the team because regional scouts bang the table for an individual guy who isn't going to get drafted. They are the ones who champion these players and bring them in for tryouts and workouts with the team. And then the coaches see if they're talented or not. And when they come down to final roster cuts, are the ones who are then again banging the table for these players to stay. So the GM kind of doesn't fucking matter when it comes to UDFAs. But Kwesi can take that one. We'll let him have it. So Kwesi, you've done a bang-up job. You have had NFL drafts. You have signed contracts. You have cut players. You have signed players. You've even made some trades. You are technically an NFL GM. Whether or not you're good, we'll leave that up to the fans to decide. I think you can tell that I have started to already decide at this point what needs to happen with this GM. But Kwesi, we truly appreciate you for letting us do an ad read for you today on Raw Dog Sports.
Oh yeah. That was great, man. I was not expecting Kwesi, but I'm here for it. Quite frankly, it was off the hook. And that will take us to our next segment, which is going to be one of my favorite segments, I think. It's going to be our off the hook players of the week.
Off the hook. Off the hook.
I was quick on the gun with that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you were. No, that was fucking awesome. That was great, man. Man, my off the hook player of the week this week, Jakobi Meyers. Now, when you look at its stat line, it's a good day. 6 catches, 6 targets, 6 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown. But the thing that's off the hook about this is the story behind that. Is a wide receiver who are notoriously divas, who waited patiently to be traded, put in his request, and then continued to show up every day to work, and was on a terrible Raiders team. Did not bitch, did not complain, continued about his business like a fucking pro. And then eventually his request was answered. He gets down to Jacksonville, and he is their most consistent wide receiver down there. He has given that team a guy that I think they could trust on a big third down situation to make sure that they make a catch. Because right now, Brian Thomas is, I mean, you have no idea if he's catching the ball at this point. It's been so hit and miss. And then obviously with the injuries to Travis Hunter, that wide receiver core has been greatly diminished for Trevor Lawrence. So Jakobi Meyers, big week. They get a big time win. I mean, I think that in the way that this whole process has gone is fucking it's off the hook, man. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, look, Jakobi Meyers has always been a solid receiver. You're seeing him kind of step into more of a number one role out of necessity here with the Jaguars. It's an interesting phenomenon, though, with the Jaguars is that like it seems like they get a good wide receiver, and then when they bring in a compliment, that guy from the previous year drops off completely. Christian Kirk was brought in there on a huge contract, and probably didn't live up to the number one wide receiver role, but he was easily the best guy on that team, and he looked the part. You bring in Brian Thomas Jr., Christian Kirk becomes a ghost. Like, he's a good player. We've seen him do okay with the Texans this year, but he becomes a ghost. And BTJ looks like the next thing. And then Travis Hunter comes in, and Brian Thomas Jr. becomes a ghost. Well, then Travis Hunter gets hurt. Jakobi Meyers comes in and is doing phenomenally. And everyone else on the team is kind of meh outside of Parker Washington. It shows that there's roles for wide receiver on this team, but it's weird that there's like no sustainability with having multiple good wide receivers on this team. It was definitely a shocker to see Brian Thomas Jr. drop off like he did this year, though.
I was expecting a real big like uptick in his performance. I mean, normally receivers get better the farther into the league because he had a banger year last year. So that was very surprising. But hey, good on Jakobi Meyers. Who's your guy?
My guy is not necessarily surprising, and it isn't even just for this week, though he had a very good week himself. It's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and we got to watch him last night in Drake Maye. Drake Maye, also known as Drake Maye, to some, apparently, has been having truly like an MVP style season. Now, Matthew Stafford, despite having kind of a bad week, his biggest blemish on the year, is probably putting up better MVP numbers. And because his career is going to be coming more to a close, I think that Stafford is probably the odds-on favorite to win it. But the way that Drake Maye is playing right now is so fucking good. He looks way beyond a second-year player, especially a second-year starter. Last night, he went 24 for 31, 282 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But it was the quality of the passes, like perfect spots, the deep touchdown to my guy Williams. That was fucking phenomenal. He's making good decisions. He is moving in the pocket exactly like you would expect a 10-year veteran quarterback to. But even more so than that, like you look at his season stats, he is the most winningest quarterback in the league right now. The Patriots have the best record in the NFL at 11-2. But he's also first in completion percentage with 71.5, which is an ungodly completion percentage. And that can happen if you don't have a high volume of passes. But he also is first in passing yards, 3,412. He is first in passer rating, 111.9. And he's fourth in touchdowns this year with 23 touchdowns. Like if you look at the receivers around him, Stephon Diggs is very good, but he's not the guy that he used to be. Kayshon Boutte is good, but he's probably, a number 3, number 2. If Kyle Williams is kind of showing up more recently as a deep threat, and he's like a number 3, number 4 type of guy, but you don't really have like a standout wide receiver crew. You have Hunter Henry, who's been a very solid tight end for him. But this is kind of that model in the past that guys like Brett Favre used, where it was a lot of no-namers on his team, but there was super high volume passing, and those guys were just making catches and breaking fingers while catching them. Drake Maye is elevating all of those guys around him. They were out without their starting left tackle for the first time last night. Vidarian Lowe's playing, and one of Kwesi, one of his draft picks, who's no longer on the team, but starting somewhere else, he goes out there, and obviously Vidarian Lowe is a backup level tackle. You've got backups along that offensive line, and we ridiculed this roster going into the year. We thought it got better, but I mean, like, it was a pretty bad roster, and he is making them look like truly a playoff team at this point.
Coaching as well, because listen, Vrabel is no slouch, especially in the offensive line. He helped our offensive line out tremendously last year.
Yeah, like Vrabes is a great coach. His mustache was actually second runner up to off the hook player of the week. Unfortunately, it's going to be gone apparently because it was No Shave November. But look, Drake Maye, the league obviously should notice he was a high draft pick. He's been performing really well. But all credit to this kid. Like, he looks like your prototypical quarterback that you want right now. Phenomenal arm, tremendous accuracy, good decision making, and he's got some legs on him too to take care of it if he needs to go on the ground. So he's my off the chain, off the hook player of the week.
Off the chain, off the hook. I like it. Fuck yeah, brother. So we're 20 minutes in. Producer Amber's going to have a stroke. So let's get into the fucking recaps, my man, because we got a bunch of football to get to. You ready to kick it off?
Yeah, let's do it. And we'll start off the week, according to ESPN's list here, with the 49ers playing your Browns. You guys drop one here, 26-8. And I'm going to let you go ahead and kind of dive into what went wrong in this game, what went well, if there's any positives that you can glean from it.
Oh, man. So what went wrong? The special teams, for sure, were a terrible fucking day. Again, like this is now game two that I would say that the special teams directly lost us. Because here's the thing. Now, granted, we didn't generate a ton of offense, but we lost possessions. We gave up a ton of yards. And we were constantly on the wrong side of the fucking field. Field position was just never in our favor in this game. We were constantly fighting. Shedeur did not play a great game. Listen, he still, I think, a better option than Dylan Gabriel. But what we saw in game one was a little bit better than what we saw here. We saw more pre-snap penalties in this game, which you don't love. You want to clean those up. You want the operation to be clean. So that's kind of tough. But I'm not ready to be like, Shedeur ain't it. But that's a good 49ers team, man. In terms of our defense, I mean, they were out on the field a lot. They were just out on the field. Like when you run up against a team that is that well coached with that kind of scheme and you're on the field for that fucking long and you are given up. I mean, the starting fucking field position was damn near the 40, I think, for the 49ers. Like, on every fucking drive. So you're going to give up some points. I don't know if the relationship in the building is going to be tenable because, you know, we're getting a lot of arguing, confrontation. Like, it's just crazy. Apparently Dylan Gabriel's girlfriend is saying things on IG that the whole fucking team wants him to play. And if that is true, that's a problem. If it's not true, that's a fucking problem. Like, there is a disconnect in that room. Those two dudes are not going to be able to coexist for forever. Like, one of them is going to have to move on. I thought we made Brock Purdy look very average. Myles Garrett got the one and only sack, taking him up to 19. So, I mean, that's really, at this point, what I am watching when I'm watching the Browns. I'm on sack watch, record-breaking watch. And I want to see how the offense progresses with Shedeur or if it continues to regress. Because, listen, I was here at the beginning. I was champion Shedeur. Like, he is my guy. I want Shedeur. I wanted him in the fucking pre-draft process. I had him rated as my number one QB coming out in this draft. I had him over Cam Ward. But this was not a great game. And the crazy thing is that hopefully that we don't get a ton of shit for that because the vibe around Shedeur and Shedeur's fans at times has been kind of crazy, especially when you coming off a loss. Like Jerry Jeudy was very demonstrative at one point in this game. And I get it because there were times where Jerry should have got the ball thrown in his direction. But the discourse between the fans and everything after the fact has been insane. There's just so much negative energy as it relates to the relationship between the quarterbacks. And I think that's bad for a team. So right now, I don't have a lot to say about this team in general. Like, we're not going anywhere. We're 3-9. We would have to win out and get a fuckload of help to have a chance to win our division. Like, everybody else would have to basically lose out and we'd have to win out and we could still win our division. The only reason we're not fucking eliminated yet. But that's not happening. So let's figure out who is the right guy, who's not the right guy, and let's see if Myles can break this record. That's where I'm at with this team right now.
Hey, look, you are absolutely correct about the special teams kind of screwing you in this game. And the 49ers do have a good defense. They've got a good roster, a good team. this is my thought of positivity, is that watching back Shedeur Sanders, he played like a rookie quarterback, but not terrible by any means. All right. If we sit here and side by side, and I know that stats don't necessarily mean, but you compare side by side, Brock Purdy, Shedeur Sanders, nearly identical stat lines. Brock Purdy was 16 of 29, 168 with 1 touchdown and a 5.8 yard average.
Guess what
Shedeur
those
Sanders
PRs were?
Was yes. Shedeur Sanders, 16 of 25, 149 yards, 6-yard average, and 1 touchdown. No turnovers from either of them. Nearly the same yardage, nearly the same completion percentage, and their average throw was about the same. You're talking about a guy in Brock Purdy who just got, what, a $50 million a year contract, and Shedeur Sanders, who's playing in his second game as a starter. So it's not like he did absolutely terrible. There's a lot of room for improvement, but also this wasn't like Dylan Gabriel could be better, because
Dylan
I
Gabriel
still
went 1-for-1 for no fucking yards because he immediately was just like, you know what? There's a check down over here. I'm going to go ahead and just take that. Didn't even look down the fucking field.
I think that you guys are a good scheme, a good offseason of training for Shedeur, and some weapon help away from having a competent, good offense. And I think that obviously wide receivers, one of the top spots on the list for the team going into the draft, and potentially free agency. And that's absolutely doable. The biggest issue, if you want to call it with that, with Shedeur, is that charisma, the moxie. It does seem, outside looking in, especially, like he feels like he's owed a lot of stuff in many ways. He might say some things that sound like that's a good thing for a quarterback to say. I liked how he kind of almost came out and defended Stefanski a little bit, saying, the reporter's comment was rude. Also, I didn't think that the reporter's comment was rude. I thought it was pretty direct. But he, I think, is probably in a position where he's like, I'm going to try to put my best foot forward and defend the coach, whether or not I believe it or not. But some of the things, some of the actions, mannerisms can be taken as like, yeah, I deserve to be here. And at the end of the day, even if you get drafted one of one, you don't deserve to be there on the NFL team. You still got to earn your spot. And I think that he's got plenty of room and possibility to earn that still. So I don't think it was a terrible day. It was like you guys had multiple turnovers and the 49ers did. Greg Glaverdane's got to hold on to the ball a little bit better. Can't be putting it on the ground 3 times. Yeah, it was only 1 fumble, but can't put it on the ground 3 times.
I mean, listen, I love Gage, but that's a game that gets you cut, especially when you're a guy that is already, an undrafted free agent who was elevated from the practice squad. I love Gage, but like if he fumbles again, he's got to be done. You put the ball in the conditions were not great. Trust me, I was out there. I was freezing my fucking dick off shooting a documentary. So I get it. But we got to hold on to the fucking ball, man. Frustrating game. Because, listen, I didn't get to watch it live. I was out there fucking shooting. I was listening to the sounds outside the stadium and trying to get reactions and stuff. When I went back and watched it, it's like, all right, this is tough. It was not fun. Not fun.
Well, we'll get on to our next game, the Jaguars versus the Titans, and it was another tough one for the Titans, who are now 1-11 on the season. They lose to the Jaguars 25-3. Generally expected. Not that I think, while the Jaguars are 8-4, they're having technically a good year. They don't seem like an 8-4 team completely. A solid day, especially statistically, from this Jags team. But this is a Titans team that is out there with an interim head coach, a rookie quarterback, and not a whole lot else on that team.
Yeah, the Titans are in a bad spot. We've kind of known that. Cam Ward continues to kind of be up and down. Like he's one of those guys who's also very aloof in the media. And if you look at his stat line here, it's fucking bizarre. When you see the game back, we're seeing this a lot. Guys love the check down. They're not looking anywhere down the field. They're just fucking straight to check downs. That's how you're getting, these fucking games where you get 3.5 yard average per catch. Sure, you're getting completions, And that looks all well and good, but you're not fucking doing anything. You're essentially just extending your run game.
Yep.
So
some of us would go for a little bit more check down around here, okay? Some of us don't always want to hunt down the field. Some of us want some training wheels.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about Max's need for training wheels in a minute. That was one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen, by the way.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't think the Jags are 8-4, but here's the thing. They're one bad hit on Daniel Jones away from winning their division. Broken leg on Daniel Jones. He takes a bad hit. The fucking Colts aren't winning that division. It'll be the Jags division. They're right there, man. And so that they are in the thick of it. I don't think that they're great, but that division has been, was kind of dominated by the Colts until recently. So anything can happen there. I would love for them to not make the playoffs because I own their first round pick. But yeah, they were not losing to this Titans team. This Titans team's terrible. I can't wait to kind of get a little bit of pick me up this week by playing the Titans.
Hey, yeah, I feel that. And actually, it's a good segue into our next game, though. Texans and Colts in Indianapolis. Colts dropped this one 20-16. It's that super good Texans defense. Like I banged the table for how good that defense is, and the Texans were able to get one up over the Colts in this game. And the Colts are probably reeling. It's an injury situation there with their main guy, Daniel Jones. He's not looking exactly the same. He went 14-27, 200 yards, and 2 touchdowns, but it's not kind of the volume that you were seeing previously. Jonathan Taylor had a solid day, but it's unspectacular compared to what he's done previous in the year. No touchdown in this one, despite putting up 3 in multiple games this year. I'm sure that Houston probably focused heavily on stopping Jonathan Taylor, and for the most part, they did. 85 yards is a bad day for Jonathan Taylor with how good he's been playing this year. But they also knew going into it that Daniel Jones is hampered. Tyler Warren, their best receiver, is hampered by an illness. And they were able to put the pressure on Daniel Jones, who's going to be even less mobile because of that leg, and able to get the win here.
Yeah. I thought that the Colts were going to possibly still win this game because I thought Jonathan Taylor could maybe have a bigger impact. Daniel Jones played okay for having a broken fucking leg. You go out there with a broken leg, throw for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. That ain't a bad day. But you could see that the accuracy was diminished greatly when he, was trying to push off that leg. So they're in a really bad spot. Listen, he's able to play. He went out there. He was somewhat effective. So their season's not over. But they are in a very dangerous situation week to week.
It feels like he's on a very Sam Darnold type track. It's you go to a team, you have a really good year, and by the end of the year, there's some question marks still about are there ghosts? Is he able to get frazzled a little bit? And I think you're seeing a little bit of that. You saw like ultimate confidence from Daniel Jones, especially in the beginning of the year. And now that some things haven't gone as well, there's some injury stuff creeping in, a couple losses. Maybe the confidence is getting frazzled a little bit. And that doesn't mean that he's just going to completely fall off a cliff. Obviously, Darnold hasn't completely fallen off a cliff despite having a rougher game this week. But they both are showing that they can be well above average quarterbacks in this league, given the right situation. And they just need to be coddled a little bit more to get that confidence where it needs to be. And so it is a precarious spot. Look, the Colts look like one of the best teams, if not the best team in the AFC for a while. And now there's some big question marks going into the playoffs.
Yeah. Injuries are going to be kind of the telltale thing. If they can make it or not, it'll be dependent on if Daniel Jones in that leg, man. Because I think they are still a very talented team at all the levels. But in this league, if you can't play, if you don't have a quarterback that can play consistently, you're going to struggle. So
yeah, absolutely. Next up, we have the New Orleans Saints and the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins get the win here, 21-17. The scoreboard's pretty close, and it actually did kind of come down closer to the wire on this one. Tyler Shuck had himself a decent day, 26 of 38, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And I say a decent day because for a guy that we like to joke about as a rookie, that's not a terrible stat line. And he actually kept his team in the game there at the end. But Tua Tagovailoa and his fantastic stat line won the day here. That's 157 yards and 1 interception for Tua, continuing to be the bastion for this team, leading them forward ahead in the charge to save Mike McDaniel's job. And obviously we kid about that. Devon Achane, though, he has definitely picked it up in the latter part of the year. Really good part of the year for him. So good to have Darren Waller back there for him as well. He was their leading receiver with 47 yards on the day. Look, I still think the Dolphins are a bad team, but they are playing a weaker part of their schedule right now, and they're going to get those wins. They're going to screw themselves up as far as where they're going to be at in the draft, and they might get themselves in a spot where Mike McDaniels is able to retain that job.
I don't know. I mean, Mike McDaniels retaining his job would be great for Mike McDaniels, but if he has to try Tua back out there again, we're just prolonging the inevitable. Like, Tua is the problem. And at some point, he's going to cost everybody their fucking jobs. Like, pull the Band-Aid off this offseason. Great win. Good job. Not going anywhere. The AFC is fucking loaded. But it's very clear that this team has good pieces. They're just missing the most valuable one. They're winning in spite of their quarterback play. And then the Saints are just not a good team at all. Tyler Shuck didn't play bad. I'm not going to sit here and be like, listen. He is a mid-round rookie quarterback. And that's exactly what you're going to see. He is not a guy that is going, I don't think he'll ever be the guy that steps up and leads a franchise. I don't see a huge difference between what we see in Tyler Shuck and what we saw in fucking Spencer Rattler. So I understand the move to see if what you have in Tyler Shuck. Outside, like, there's just not much to say about the Saints. I don't even know half of these motherfuckers. Like, when you look at their box score, you're like, who the fuck is that? Who the fuck is that?
You're telling me you don't know who Devon Vele is?
Mason Tipton. Yeah, that's it. That's a made up name. That guy doesn't exist. Somebody came in here and just put in a bunch of made up names. That's what the Saints are dealing with. I feel bad for their fans, but they are close to being out of it because salary cap hell is only like another year, I think, for them.
All right, next up we have the Atlanta Falcons versus the New York Jets. I know you're going to love going over this one. Jets get the win 27-24. Falcons give it up there at the end. Big win for the Atlanta Falcons because they move a little bit further down the draft board. Because, look, they have had a bad second to 2/3 of the year. And at this point, you're going to have a lot of question marks about this team. I don't have anywhere to really pinpoint what the issue is because they've got talent all over the place. Kirk Cousins should be good enough to still get you wins versus the Jets. Like, you have one of the most dynamic running backs in the league in Bijan Robinson. You have a defense that has had an influx of talent. And we've seen how talented that defense can be at times. I like their coaching staff for the most part, but something ain't working here when you drop one of the Jets.
I don't know that this roster is constructed very well. When you look at the pieces, they're adding talent, but that talent has, I mean, where has it shown up? Where are these rookie pass rushers? Where are these guys that are supposed to help and solidify this defense? Where is their second level ain't great either. This Falcons team is not very well built. Their offense, sure, it looks explosive as fuck, as long as you got a trigger man. But Kirk Cousins is beyond, his prime. And their young quarterback is walking around in fucking 2 casts basically all the time because his knees are blowing out on what seems like a fucking biannual basis. Like they're just in a shit spot. And here's the thing about the Jets. They are getting competent quarterback play, so they're going to be competitive. Like that's a well-coached team. And when you get Tyrod out there who can actually throw the fucking ball, the Jets look like they actually know how to play football. So you couple that with the Falcons who are just going to piss it down their leg. I mean, it made total sense to me. I took the Jets, I think, plus the points. I should have taken them on the fucking money line because the Falcons suck, man. They are just not a good team. They're just not.
And a big day from recent trade acquisition, Adonai Mitchell, AD Mitchell, formerly of the Colts, 8 catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown. One of those was on a 52-yard bomb. And that's kind of the talent that you saw from him coming out of Texas. He just has had all sorts of weird little issues of fumbling the ball and dropping passes there with the Colts. Maybe starting to not feel as much pressure on a good team and a little bit less pressure to just kind of go out there and play with the Jets team, and actually showed up this week and looked pretty good doing it.
Sometimes those guys need to be cast off before they can actually kind of grow into the wide receiver they're supposed to be. There's always that story of Chris Carter that I will never forget. I'm sure you are very familiar with that. It worked out very well for you in the Vikings.
Yeah. Unfortunately, part of Chris Carter's woes were that he liked the juice a little bit too much, the sauce. He's
sauced it up a little bit.
He enjoyed adult beverages a little bit too much and wasn't sustainable there with the Eagles. Yeah. All right. Next up, we have the Arizona Cardinals playing the Buccaneers. Bucs get the win 20-17. Relatively close game here. Jakobi Brissett, another good day. High volume passing day for Jakobi Brissett, 29 of 40, 301 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bam Knight, actually, I watched a little bit of this game. While he didn't have a big stat line there, 11 rushes for 62 yards, he had some pretty damn good rushes. I liked some of the stuff I saw from him, but not as a starter, and that's still kind of the bane of this team, especially on offense. A lack of a running game complemented with a good pass game, good offensive weapons, maybe not the best play caller out there. But at the end of the day, Bucky Irving is back for the Bucs. He almost had 2 touchdowns. One of them was called back due to a holding. But a good day back for him, 17 carries, 61 yards, and a solid day from Baker, 194 yards and a touchdown. And this Bucs team is able to go out there and get the win.
The Bucs needed a win badly because of that the way that division's starting to move around. Jakobi Brissett is him, Jameis. There's a collection of these guys, these older vets, who can come in and light it up because they play quarterback a little differently than maybe some of the guys that we're seeing come in now. We have more athletic quarterbacks, but they're just so smart. I always remember, Jakobi always knew what to do with the ball, where to go with the ball, but sometimes Jakobi just didn't have all the physical tools that you would need to do everything that you would want him to do. But I mean, as he's gotten more and more progressed in his career, you continue to see that he can fucking play and he's smart and understands where to go with the ball. And it just speaks volumes to how bad Kyler Murray has been for this Cardinals team. If you look at the stat line for the wide receivers, Marvin Harrison looks like he is a legit wide receiver. You would have never thought that if it were not for Jakobi Brissett. People were saying he's a bust. It was just a trigger man.
Trey McBride is finding the end zone.
Yeah.
Never did.
Trigger man. That's all it is. Like, you got to find guys that get the ball to your playmakers, facilitate your playmakers. I understand you want a guy who can also be back there and be a playmaker, but those guys are few and far between. The Josh Allens, the Lamar Jacksons, those motherfuckers don't grow on trees. So when you get a guy who, like Jakobi, who knows what the hell to do, you're going to get these big-ass bulk stats. Also, you have a Bucs team that's kind of hurt in the secondary. So, listen, the Cardinals, they are in their season's over. They have been eliminated from playoff contention. Time to look at where you go in the future. Do you keep playing Jakobi? Is Jakobi your bridge for next year while you try to move on from Kyler and look for a new quarterback? There's a lot of questions to be answered with this team, and that can kind of start now since they're eliminated.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a tough spot for ownership to look at this coaching staff. And it's going to be a hard decision there with Kyler because they've invested so much in him. But I don't think you can deny what you're seeing being put on the field. It's really a bummer to me because Jacoby Brissett, I've been a fan of him for quite a while, not because he's been like a high-end quarterback, but because he has gone into so many places, been a good mentor to young quarterbacks. And when the time comes for him to step up and play, he does it at an admirable level. He is truly what you want from a veteran backup quarterback, someone who you know that you can rely on if they have to play. You're not expecting to go out there and win every game like a full-time starter for you. But when they aren't stuck there in the backup role, they produce. I'm a big fan of Brissett. I'm bummed, honestly, that he signed a 2-year deal there this year because he's exactly the type of guy that would want to go in there and be a in the quarterback room style mentor for JJ McCarthy. And then if things start to go bad with JJ, then we have someone that we can rely on. And I think that KOC is the type of guy that could probably get a lot out of him if he were to be there. But probably not going to be the case because I think the Cardinals need to, like we just saw, fire Drew Petzing. I think I've been kind of getting on that one for a little bit. I think that he's a big part of the problem, and they need to look towards moving on in the quarterback's situation. Before we get off of this game, I do have one lighthearted point for you. I'd like you to look at the tackle leader for the Tampa Bay defense, speaking of made-up names, and tell me, how do you say this gentleman's name?
All right, hold on. Let me go to their stats here. Bucks stats, tackles, receiving, defense. Total tackles?
Yep.
Is it Taki Smith?
No, total tackles, 11 tackles for the Buccaneers.
I'm looking at the whole fucking year. Are we looking at this last game?
Just this game.
Stand
number
by.
8, Mr. Dennis. How do you say that first name?
Mr. Dennis, huh?
Because I had to look it up.
Oh no, I'm gonna fuck this up. All right, sweet. Here we go. Service A? I'm gonna go Service A.
Pretty close.
Okay.
Servassier.
Okay, Servassier Dennis. That's a badass
Servassier Leviticus Dennis. Yes, I had to look it up, the pronunciation guide and everything. Speaking of no-name players that I've never heard of before, maybe we'll hear a little bit more about Servassier Dennis going forward.
All right, next that's all world name, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's close to Cuvathier, which is another fantastic adult beverage. Next up, we have the LA Rams going up against the Carolina Panthers. And this was the one that we were talking about where I think it kind of surprised everybody. Carolina Panthers win this one 31-28. And while the Rams did put up a big 28 points, I think the big story of this game really comes down to it was the worst game of the year for Matthew Stafford. A bunch of interceptions, uncharacteristic from this year. When you have as many turnovers as you do, 1 fumble, 2 interceptions, it is tough to win games. And one of, if not the best team in the NFL right now in the Rams showed that turnovers will tank any good team.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. If you lose a turnover battle, you are more likely to lose the game. What also is not good for you is if you allow the opponent to run it down your fucking throat, because that's what the Carolina Panthers did. They lined up and ran it 40 goddamn times with pretty decent success. Enough success that they got their quarterback into position to throw 3 touchdowns. Bryce Young threw 3 touchdowns against the Rams. 75% completion percentage. Like, What the fuck are we talking about? It doesn't make any goddamn sense. But you know what? We saw this kind of at the end of last year as well. Bryce Young and the Panthers coming on strong at the end of the year, giving everybody hope. Well, this year they're fucking 7-6. They're fighting for the division with the Bucs, and they have a legit shot now with beating the Rams. Like, you figure they lose this game, the Bucs kind of continue on. I mean, if the fucking Panthers can beat the Rams, I guess technically they can beat damn near anybody. I don't necessarily believe it. It's going to take a catastrophic game from a quarterback on the opposite team, but you get that every once in a while. The Panthers are hanging around, and they could fucking steal this division from the Bucs if the Bucs don't get healthy.
Yeah, the Panthers are another one of the odd teams this year where you can't really tell who they are. Like, we've talked ad nauseum about them going out and putting up good games against the Atlanta Falcons. But they've beaten some other teams this year that are on a good trajectory. They beat the Cowboys. They did shut out the Falcons. They beat the Packers in Lambeau. They are a back and forth team where it's like they are playing up to their opponent, but some of those good opponents that they're playing up to, they end up beating. So it's tough to look ahead at the schedule and really truly be able to predict how they're going to perform. They've got the Saints, the Buccaneers, Seahawks, and then the Buccaneers again to finish out the year.
That's two massive games with the Buccaneers. And that's the division right there.
Yeah. But I mean, the way that they're performing, I could see them splitting those games. For sure. The Seahawks is their toughest matchup, but
they're beating the Saints, right? Based on everything that we've seen over the last couple of weeks.
I mean, they should.
Good.
But I don't know, because they dropped some bad games to other teams. They've already lost once to the Saints this year, 17-7. So it's really tough to say with this Carolina team. It feels like another one of those teams that plays up to their opponent, and then on some of these occasions, they will beat the good ones. So, look, props to Dan Morgan, what they've done with that team to start to build there a little bit. I feel like, Bryce Young probably shouldn't be the long-term answer there, but you are getting some games out of him where he is putting up decent stat lines and he's not completely ruining it for your team. They've got a good run game. They've started to build through the trenches. That defense, I didn't think was going to be any good this year, despite adding some pieces. But they go out and they turn Matt Stafford over multiple times. Some days they just play good, I guess. And if you're a Panthers fan, I mean, that makes you hopeful for the future. But it is going to be a very tough stretch here at the end of the year. 2 big games versus the Bucs that'll probably be the decider for that division.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, the Rams on the other side, obviously tough to lose this game, but you're still one of the better teams in the NFL. You would not expect Stafford to have games like this very often going forward, unless for some reason he has fallen off a cliff. But I have no reason to believe that that's the case, unless there is some sort of medical issue that has popped up. And nothing has been reported, so the Rams will be just fine. This is just a tough game. It happens. Yeah. It happens to fucking everybody.
It's better for them to get it out of the way now versus have it happen to them in the playoffs. So get this out of your system and drive forward. All right, next up, tough one for me. Vikings versus Seahawks out in Seattle. Vikings take their first goose egg since 2007. They lose 26-0. The positives first for my Vikings, their defense played a hell of a game. They did really well through almost the entirety of the game. It's tough there at the end because you are out on the field quite a bit, and you're going to get worn out from having to play versus what's been a very good offense this year. But they were able to hold Sam Darnold 14-26, 128 yards. They, I believe, had no catches by Jackson Smith and Jigba through the first half. The defense did what they needed to do. They did their job. But the offense was going out there with an undrafted free agent quarterback in his first start. And you saw that. You saw that from him. You saw some decent throws from Brosmer, but you also saw us go for it and have him throw up one of the most atrocious interceptions that you'll ever see. The thought process, I guess, is that he was probably trying to get rid of it and throw it out of bounds, but he also was head below his ass being turned over, and you just got to hold on to the ball there, because that ended up being a 10-point swing. It was a pick six when we were within field goal range. So a 10-point swing on that one play. And that is absolutely a game changer when the game is 26-0. So, a tough outing there for Brosmer, for sure. I had hopes that he would do something a little bit decent, but I didn't expect anything out of that. Especially when you go with the left side of your offensive line also not playing the game, Donovan Jackson and our starting left tackle, once again, both out for this game. So that's a tough one, tough for sure. And again, like I think that I have faith in JJ McCarthy. We're going to get to see him start again this week versus the Commanders, which is a team that we can possibly go out there and beat. But I mean, we have to see a different schematic game from the play call perspective, and we need to see JJ McCarthy kind of settle down his nerves and kind of look like he fits the role a little bit more mentally when he's out there, instead of kind of having trouble reading the field, having to speed up his process and lose his mechanics in that process. But yeah, the Vikings not yet eliminated. They're 4-8. Theoretically, we could win out and have a year where we go positive. I don't know that I'm hoping for that at this point necessarily. I mean, I am not one. I don't believe in tanking necessarily, but I have started looking at the draft process, and there's some interesting guys up towards the first 10 picks that I would love to look at.
I was wondering if you were already starting to dive into that, because do you guys have all of your picks back again? Because I know last couple of years you guys have been light on picks.
Yeah, so we don't have all of our picks, but we do have a plethora. We're expected to have about 10 picks this year. First, second, couple thirds because of comp picks and things like that. So my one qualm with this is I love the fact that you got the draft picks. Kwesi's making the picks. I think we need to fire Ryan Grigson. He's the assistant GM. He's the only guy in a GM-ish type spot with football knowledge. And look at what he did with the Colts. Made them fucking ass. And there's a reason why he got fired. I don't think Kwesi's been – he's the head guy. He's the one that is in charge of
player personnel,
signings, draft picks, everything. And the return has been terrible outside of 1 year. Like last year, our free agent class was good. Last year, our draft class looked like it would be good. And those guys, for the most part, are still on the team and playing. Some are in role-playing roles. Like you have a starting good kicker in Will Reichard. We've got a rotational defensive tackle in Levi Drake Rodriguez, who probably wasn't going to be drafted. It could have been a UDFA, but we took him anyways. And I like what he's done for us. But I don't have any confidence in the decision makers who are making draft selections right now with this team, which scares me. It scares me a lot to go into a draft with 10 picks and not have confidence that you're going to be able to make do with any of them. A big one for me right now is the fact that we basically traded a third, a fourth, and a fifth in order to get Adam Thielen and draft Ty Felton this year.
And then you just fucking cut him.
We did just cut Adam Thielen per his request, and he went and signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers,
which was insane.
He's always wanted to play with Aaron Rodgers. Apparently, they're golf buddies or something. But like to give up the capital that we did for two receivers and to have them, I believe, have a total of 75 yards on the year, and like 25 offensive snaps between the two of them, it's pretty bad. Yeah. It's pretty fucking bad. To have 5 draft picks this year
is not done yet either, right?
He's
agency.
So he's on his 4th year of his 5 years. He has the 5th year option still.
Did you guys already pick up the 5th year?
I believe so. Okay. So he'll be around, but he's either due a contract or he'll get traded. But that brings up another point here with my Vikings, is that we are seeing our premier players drop passes. One of the stats that was kind of going into this, and it was just a JJ McCarthy stat previously, not even factoring in Carson Wentz. The Vikings had the highest drop rate of any team at 14.7% by their receivers.
14?
And yes, and we have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Jalen Naylor, who is a pretty stellar receiving crew. And some people were like, well, maybe it's JJ's fault. He's throwing the ball too hard. And then Max Brosmer goes out there, and we see the same thing happen with the same guys. It is an issue that has to fucking.
That's coaching. It's not talent. You know, all of those dudes are talented. There's something going on in the coaching there. Why guys are not performing? Like, it doesn't. You're not going to go from having the fucking best hands in the NFL and Justin Jefferson to all of a sudden he just drops them. Like, that's either concentration or there's something, or there's some coaching thing happening.
I don't know that it's coaching. I love Keenan McCardell. He's done great things with receivers there. I think that the players are probably out on the year. Like that's the concentration issue is that they are probably going into the game expecting a less competent passing game because of the rookie quarterbacks basically going in and playing. And then when the ball is getting thrown to them, they're a little bit more surprised by it, a little bit less prepared for it, which isn't a good look for how good of receivers they are. They should be embarrassed by it, honestly. And I think that sooner or later they're going to figure that out. But at this point, look, I'm not one for tanking, but
ain't gonna hurt if it happens.
We ain't going to the playoffs this year unless we go on some sort of spectacular run and get help.
Do you even really want to do that at this point?
No.
Yeah.
That's sort of the situation.
Team, it would be best to not do that.
Yeah. And look, I have thoughts about where to go with this. Obviously, we're going to get into off-season stuff before too long for both of our teams. We're about 6 weeks away from off-season for our teams. But
dude, next week for both of us, I'm pretty sure we're both going to get eliminated.
Yeah. But look, I think the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell creates great plays. He's never been a play caller until he got here to Minnesota. That was McVay's role. And I think we're starting to see a little bit of the issues with his play calling. And maybe he should look at someone else calling the plays. I don't know what Wes Phillips necessarily does as our offensive coordinator, but bringing in a fresh mind on Mike McDaniels if he gets fired, or I don't know, go out there and make a hire. Bring Brian Hartline in. Give him the OC job.
You fucking dare.
Absolutely. He's not doing anything at Ohio State right now.
Shout out to Ohio State, getting ready to go and try to win a Big Ten championship. Fuck you, Michigan.
Yeah, look, I think we could give Hartline a call. It would be a great spot for him. But beyond that, I think that at a minimum, we got to fire Grigson. I would be absolutely okay with moving on from Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and kind of retooling that shop as long as Rob Brzezinski, our money man, stays there because he's been phenomenal for like 3 decades with this team. I wouldn't even be against him somehow becoming the GM. And then we need to look at, like a safety out there for Ohio State that's going to be an early pick in this draft, or a running back from Notre Dame who's going to be an early pick in this draft, or one of my.
He'll be a mid. I don't know how early he go. He's not going to go in the.
Jeremiah Love.
He's going to go in the first round, but I don't think he'll go in the top 15.
We'll see. He's kind of rated around like a top 15 pick right now.
Yeah, I don't think he goes higher than that.
It's running backs, traditionally kind of drop
Obviously.
Some. But look,
unless somebody thinks that he's going to have a Jahmyr Gibbs level type arc, then.
Well, I think he's a good runner of the ball. He's a good receiver of the ball, and he is actually special. So he's autistic. If you didn't know,
I had no idea that he was.
He has slight shades of autism. Apparently, watch a little docu-series on him. Interesting. Okay. But I would be interested in him. And if it turns out that we draft a little bit later, a guy that I really do like a lot, one of my draft crushes right now, Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon. Phenomenal tight end. That guy is going to be gangbusters. I would love to see some 12 personnel with him out there. But I won't harp on this too long. Look, good game for Seattle. Their defense got the best of us for sure. 4 interceptions. Understandably so. But their offense left a lot to be desired despite that. So Seattle, good job. I think you're a good team. Wish the best for Sam Darnold going forward. But you need to put together better offensive performances versus teams playing as bad as my Vikings right now.
Yeah, listen, I don't have a lot to add to this, man. Your team is in a bad year. It's a bad year. Seahawks are really fucking good.
The
There's
good
not much
news.
to say about this game. I said what I needed to say. Brosmer was just fucking just like, please, God, let this work out.
Well, it kind of makes you question, like, is it the team's fault or is it the quarterback's fault? Like, you're seeing a lot of the same issues turn up regardless of the quarterback. And I feel like there's an issue right now with the team. But like I said, the good news is that this team, every other year, good year, bad year, good year, bad year. First year with Kevin O'Connell, 13 wins. Next year, 7. Next year, 14 wins. This year, we'll be lucky to get to 7. Which means next year,
banger.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah. I'm hoping for you, brother. I'm hoping for you. You know who I'm hoping for a bad year for? And it's kind of coming to fruition? The Pittsburgh
Aaron Rodgers.
And Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. We never like to see players get hurt, but when that one hit where Aaron Rodgers is like on the ground afterwards and just kind of agony with his face in the dirt.
Yeah.
Like, well,
I mean, he's not hurt. I mean, that hurt.
He's literally injured, but
yeah. Yeah.
You also did just have elder abuse on that play. So,
yeah. Listen, well, the entire game is elder abuse when you're talking about the Steelers. Everybody on that team is old as fuck. Look, Cam Hayward, old as fuck, was trying to mix it up. And this game got really heated in a very weird way. Like quarterback Josh Allen getting in it with fucking Cam Hayward, which was kind of and that just continued to boil over. The Steelers played like shit, which was great to see. Aaron Rodgers, sub 50% completion percentage. Here we go. We're not there. Steelers are not going fucking over 500 this year.
Yeah. And they didn't get any younger today. They cut Darius Slay, 34 years old, and they're like, let's bring in another guy who's got some age on him, and Adam Thielen, 35 years old. Yeah. So yeah, they are definitely leaning into the old man team here. The all old team of 2025, your Pittsburgh Steelers. They're now 6-6, and it's anybody's division, I guess. They're in the AFC North. I mean, legitimately, the Bengals have a shot.
So we're not fucking eliminated at 3-9 because our division is so shit.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. But I'm so excited that the Steelers are bad. And you know what's crazy is that the Steelers fans that I have talked to is that it's just Tomlin. It's all Mike Tomlin. Now, granted, Mike Tomlin has been showing this is what happened every year. But Aaron Rodgers was never going to be the fix, guys. Come on. 42-year-old now, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Nah.
It would have been interesting because the Steelers were apparently somewhat in on Sam Darnold. It would have been a very drastically different route to go that direction.
Should have been way more in on Sam Darnold.
But their options were limited. No one knew that Daniel Jones was going to do what he did this year. And Sam Darnold, you still had question marks because he had one good year under a prime situation for it. And so do you want to leverage a bunch of money towards that? And they had already kind of been flirting with Aaron Rodgers. But that would have made this team a lot different. Very interesting. But it almost seems like the Roonies are kind of okay with middling years. As long as we make it to the playoffs, as long as we have a positive record, then we're okay. And Tomlin seems like he's kind of a perfect fit for that right now. Like, I think Tomlin is a fantastic coach, but I think that he's also a very comfortable coach. He knows he's in a situation where the owners don't fire coaches, and they probably have some sort of imperative that, hey, have a winning year, get us in playoff contention. And he kind of meets that every year, but it means that you're never going to be a great team unless you have some really banger hits in the draft. And they haven't been having that lately.
No, like they've drafted like guys that have been impactful, like Darnell Washington has been very impactful. But he's not a guy that you play every fucking down. Like, they don't have a bunch of guys that you see all the time. Now, granted, they are old. They have a lot of veterans, so they have rotations. I understand.
Look, we saw the age in this game. The Steelers were winning at halftime. And this was an afternoon game, so it was afternoon nap time. They fell asleep in the second half and gave up 23 points.
Yeah, they forgot to take the fucking Geritol's at half, and then that was the end of it. Josh Allen is, amazing. This is not a great stat line, but Josh Allen does what Josh Allen needs to do. Josh Allen will run it in. Josh Allen will throw it, distribute. Like, I love Josh Allen. I cannot wait to watch him play because I get to see him play against the Browns here in Cleveland. James Cook, Dawg. Like, I love that dude. He has helped me in my fantasy league, which, by the way, I'm eliminated in our fantasy league. Fucking sucks. Which I completely deserve because I have two really good quarterbacks in Josh Allen and Drake Maye. And it seemed like I picked the wrong fucking guy to play on damn near every week. So I'm just not at one quarterback. I'm just going to have one quarterback on my team, basically from here on out. That way I don't have to make that decision.
Force yourself into a corner.
Yeah. Listen, Bills, good. Going to be a playoff team. They were flirting. They still are flirting, but I think that they're going to be a playoff team. And we'll see what happens when they get there.
Yep.
Steelers can't wait for more losses to come because it's so much fun.
Yep. Next up, Raiders and the Chargers in LA. Chargers get the win here, 31-14. Raiders again look pretty bad. Losing the offensive coordinator didn't provide them much help at all. Really no semblance of good offense from that team. The Chargers, on the other hand, a solid day from Justin Herbert. He does come out of this one injured, broken hand, already had surgery on it today, I believe, and is going to be questionable going into the game for Monday Night Football. At least he gets a little bit of extra rest, but it's interesting, the non-throwing hand, having surgery on it and being willing to put him back out there that quick. But they are 8-4 right now. They are in the thick of possibly making it to the playoffs. I believe that they are right now a playoff team. I think that they should probably be pretty apprehensive going into their next game, this Monday night game, about trying to make sure that Herbert is healthy going into the playoffs. You don't want your basically best player on the team to be limping into this thing. Good game from Kamani Vidal. Probably his last one starting.
No matter what, when guys get back, he has done enough to carve out a role going forward with this team. 25 carries, 126. Yeah, that's plenty good enough that you can split those carries. You can throw it to him out of the backfield a little bit. The Chargers really found a weapon with the injuries, and it's going to be fruitful for them going forward. It's going to help them because with Herbert being banged up and the surgery, they're going to have to lean on that run game.
Yeah, and look, I'm so happy for Kamani. He's been one of the guys that I championed through the draft process last year, and he made it to the practice squad. I was championing for him this year, and he started off the year in the practice squad. And because of injuries, he was able to get thrust into that starting role and really has taken over it. Again, when Omarion Hampton is back, which he's expected to be back here for this Monday night game, it's Omarion Hampton's show. Like, we saw the talent from him. But Kamani Vidal has earned himself a spot in this league as at least a rotational guy. So I'm really happy to see that for him.
Yeah, absolutely. The Raiders stink. Their offensive line is terrible. That's the story of the Raiders. Their offensive line is awful, which in turn makes Geno play like shit. And they can't run the ball. Like, there's not a lot to say. That's all there is to know about the Raiders. Their offensive line is hot fucking garbage.
All right. Our Sunday night football game, Denver Broncos versus the Washington Commanders. And this one goes to overtime. And the Broncos get the win 27-26. And I have to say, shout out to the Commanders. Shout out to the big balls play from Dan Quinn to go for two. Because with less than 3 minutes left in overtime, that you could kick that extra point and you could tie the game up. And you're going to give the ball back to the Broncos. And you don't know if Bo Nix is going to be able to drive down the field and get him into scoring position. You could be sitting there staring at a tie. On a lost season, that tie doesn't really help you.
Nope.
But the win shows the big balls that you have. So congrats.
Even going for it and losing shows off the big nuts.
Absolutely. I was saying it in the moment. I was like, Dan Quinn, you got some fucking clackers on you. And I applaud you no matter what happens in this game. You won it in my heart. Yeah. Because you're better than the Green Bay Packers, the scum of the fucking earth. They went for it, and they did not get that 2-point conversion to win the game. But it was at least a fun one to watch. It was a close one, going all the way down there to the end. Bo Nix, pretty good day from yardage perspective. Still a little bit of Bo Nix play in there, though, for sure. And a pretty solid day running the ball from RJ Harvey. 13 carries for 35 yards. I really expected more from this dude, man. We're not seeing it so far. Yes, he got 2 touchdowns, but like I say that in jest. I really am hoping for RJ Harvey to break out, but it's not happening yet.
He's not a guy that's going to get and run between the tackles. It's just not his. That's not his forte. He's going to have a Jerick McKinnon type role. That's what I expect. Now, getting 2 touchdowns on the ground, fucking awesome. But RJ Harvey is a guy I expect to catch it out of the backfield and run the ball a little bit. Like they'll maybe run, a little read option action with him and Bo. That's more his thing. They're not going to line up in, I formation and Sean Payton's offense and have this guy run downhill. He's just not built like that. That's not who he is. I thought it was great because I had RJ Harvey in my fantasy league that I'm playing in with Josh Cribbs, which, by the way, they're starting fucking playoffs this week. So we're already there. I needed a big time win this week. I was in 10th in the league with a win and point total. Made it up into 6th, made it into the playoffs. And RJ Harvey helped get in the end zone twice. I needed those points. So listen, sure, he's not the most explosive runner. He's not that guy. And that's okay because he's good enough right now. And he's the one that's going to get the majority of the fucking looks. So I will take it.
Yep. All right. Good win there for the Broncos, taking them to the number 1 team in their division, number 2 team in the AFC. They have really eked their way into the second best record in the NFL this year. What a record is what a record is.
Are very susceptible. It doesn't feel like anybody's like, oh, they're really fucking good. Any one of these guys can be got. And especially now that we saw the Panthers clip the Rams, anybody can get got.
That's the thing is, if I had to rate my confidence level of all the playoff teams right now, I think the Rams, despite being 8-4, are the ones I feel most confident in going forward.
Same.
Despite the fact that you have the Broncos, you have the Bears, you have the Patriots, who are all, sitting there with really good records, but they've kind of eked by, or they have had an easier schedule in the case of the Patriots, where it's like, I don't know that I can have complete confidence in these guys when it comes to playoff time. It kind of becomes anyone's game. So it's going to be an interesting playoff watch this year. I can already tell, like it's going to be a fun one. And this game last night, Monday night, was fun to watch. If you were watching for some awesome quarterback play again from Drake Maye, interesting quarterback play, good quarterback play from Jackson Dart. He's still out there being spun around like a pinwheel, taking shots. And that's who he's going to be. But another good win here from this Patriots team. They look like they embody Mike Vrabel with the way that they play ball.
Yeah, they really do. They're tough. Like Travion, they got a little bit more of a timeshare going in this game, but Travion is clearly the better back.
Ramondre had a good day, but Travion is just the explosive breakout guy.
Absolutely. The Giants, we have talked about them, like I feel like ad nauseum. They are going to be scrappy. They're going to be fun, but they're incredibly hurt. They're incredibly banged up. I hope that Jackson Dart will fucking figure out how to take care of himself because he's fun to watch. And I was not a big Jackson Dart guy in the pre-draft process. I was not big on him at all. But I tell you, the kid's fun to watch. At times, I still think he doesn't necessarily know what he's doing, and he's not necessarily playing quarterback, which is why he's taking off and running so much and fucking getting hit so much. But like he's pretty good at it. So if he learned how to take care of himself, he can have a pretty decent career. But they're a long way away, and injuries are not going to help that. Patriots, dogs. they're going to continue to be rolling into at the playoffs. Like when you brought it up, it was what 6 weeks ago. It feels like now that what their remaining schedule looked like. I thought that they would win a good portion of them, but I don't think they've lost since we've talked about it.
Yeah, they are on a hell of a roll right now, looking really, really good. But that wraps up week 13. We've got to get on to week 14 and our Thursday night matchup that's going to be happening here very shortly. We have, according to FanDuel, the Dallas Cowboys going against the Detroit Lions in Detroit. Both of these teams right now outside looking into the playoff picture. We have the 8th best team in the NFC in the Detroit Lions and the 9th best team in the NFC in the Dallas Cowboys. Both of them fighting for those playoff spots. The Detroit Lions are favored at home, -3 points at -106 odds. You can give the points to the Cowboys for -114 odds. Over under of 54.5, expected to be a little bit of a shootout. Both these teams really good explosive offenses. Both defenses questionable. Again, we've seen the Dallas Cowboys get better throughout the year, but they still do have some susceptibilities, especially in the back end with that passing game, which we know the Detroit Lions can run a pretty fun pass game. Mike, where are you going at in this game?
Gosh, this is really tough to call. We talked about this game 2 weeks ago. It's full on Lions, right? But with the things that have happened to that Dallas Cowboys organization and the way they have rallied and the performances they have shown have kind of changed the way that I view this team. They are playing with a lot of fucking heart right now. The Lions are playing a little up and down. It feels like they're kind of clawing, scratching. Those so many cat things I can get. Meow. Yeah. But they're still grasping at straws. Whereas it feels like the Cowboys are starting to catch a stride. I don't know that the Cowboys can win, but I think they can keep this thing close. And I mean, a lot of fucking points. That sounds right. I'm contemplating the over, but 54.5 feels like a shitload of points now.
It's a 27-30 game, something like that.
These guys could do that for sure. But I'm going to take the Cowboys plus the points here. I like the momentum this team is riding, and I don't feel as high about the Lions at this moment. And I like this Lions team a lot. I've loved Dan Campbell. I've loved him since the moment I heard about biting the kneecaps and all that shit. But you know what? Right now they're not playing their best ball. So
yeah,
Dallas.
I'm doing the same thing, man. Dallas plus the 3 points here. I like the trajectory that Dallas has been on. The Lions have been absolutely back and forth. Like they lost their first game to the Packers, had a stretch of wins where it's like, nah, the Lions are the Lions. And then every game since their loss to the Chiefs has been back and forth. And that's been against some good teams and some bad teams. They lost to my Vikings. They lost a low scoring game to the Eagles. Barely beat out the Giants. Like they have been really back and forth, whereas the Cowboys are on a little bit of a tear right now. That offense is looking extremely dangerous, and the defense is looking like they are good enough at points. I am a little concerned. I like Dan Campbell as well, but he's the one calling the plays, and we have seen
he needs
a little bit of that explosiveness go away that they had last year with Ben Johnson, regardless of the play caller. And so that worries me a little bit. So I think that this one could be a close one. It could come down to the end. And I like Dallas in this one with points.
I feel the same way, but we were talking about Mike McDaniels being a coaching hire somewhere. Him up there with the Lions would be a very interesting role. I mean, taking over play calling.
Switches from coke to crack cocaine.
Oh, whatever. Detroit's cleaned up. God damn it.
Yeah, for sure.
Detroit, when we went up there, it wasn't, the parts that we were in were not that bad. Photographed a lot of that city. It was pretty cool. Some of it, though, I do not want to go out at night at. So that makes sense.
For sure. A lot of big cities are that way.
For sure.
A lot of big cities.
Especially now.
Don't want to disparage Detroit, Motor City. But all right, man. Well, that wraps up our show. I think that about does it.
Hell yeah, brother. Thank you very much. And to everybody tuning in, thank you guys. Time is the most valuable thing that you have. So anytime that you give some of it to us, we are forever grateful. And also thank you to producer Amber in the back, who is always back there behind the scenes doing banger work. Appreciate you. With that, I'm going to give Evo one last word.
I think I've probably said this one before, and it means a lot to me right now, currently in the moment. You got two things that you can control: your attitude and your effort, no matter what's going on in your life, attitude and effort. And so if you keep those in mind and control what you can control, everything should hopefully work out for you in the long run. If not, you'll be in a positive mental headspace in order to kind of conquer everything that comes ahead of you. So, yeah, that's what I got for tonight.
Hell yeah, brother. I love that message. This is a message that I use in my coaching when I'm out doing baseball. Control the controllables. Attitude and effort are always two things that you can control. So I love that. My man, I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody who tuned in tonight. Thank you guys very much. We're going to be back Saturday where we do all of our gambling. But until then, we're getting the fuck out of here. See you.